Well, hey, everybody. This is the Wyatt Matters show, and my name is Steve Wyatt. I'm beyond thrilled to welcome you to the next 60 minutes because we're going to have a whole lot of fun and some engaging conversation about things that really matter. And don't let anybody tell you otherwise. There are still things that do matter. Important things. Silly things. Yes, even faith things. But please don't let that faith word scare you, because we talk about faith things in a real world kind of way so that people who don't care even the least little bit about faith things still enjoy listening as we dive into not only what matters, but also why it matters. Now, if you're still with me and looking for a reason to laugh again or at least crack a smile again, stick around, because that's what this show is about. I've got three amazing co-hosts today. First of all, we have Christian counselor and best-selling author Kimberly Herman. Let's hear it.
Hello.
Pastor and long-serving board chair of one of the West Coast's leading universities, Bruce Templeton.
Hey, Bruce.
All right.
Hey.
And another pastor who has led movements of change all around the globe, Todd Bussey.
Hey. Hello.
All right.
Well, that was mediocre. I really supported the two of you guys. All right. Thank you. All right.
We're moving on. Give him a napkin. Our producer is Jimmy Calabrese, and Jeremy Siegel is our engineer. And my dog isn't here, so Jeremy, play something so we can get started. All right. There's a brand new entry into the modern guide for dating and romance. It's something the kids are calling Shrekking. Have you heard about this? Yeah, it comes from the movie, and the whole idea is, well, let's let him explain it.
There's a new term that is called Shrekking.
What?
Shrek.
I love this. I love Shrek.
You turn somebody green?
Nope. This is a term that is referring to when you date somebody that you're not really attracted to, hoping that they'll treat you better because you lowered your standards.
In other words, you date down, okay? Driven by the belief that if you date someone who isn't conventionally attractive, then in theory, they'll work harder to keep you happy. That's the Shrekking theory. But here's just one way it can go so terribly wrong.
Shouldn't you appreciate me more if I am hotter than you?
Whoa.
Like this, I don't understand how this math is not mathing. Like, you should treat me a little bit better.
Spoken just like a hot girl. That's exactly why.
Am I off here?
You don't see this.
It doesn't make sense to me.
You don't see this because of all of this. Because your bust line and your this, that, and the other.
So you think just because you're hotter, you deserve preferential and better treatment?
Yes.
No, I honestly, okay, so listen, I don't think that anybody should just be judged by their outer, but if you spend your time chasing the baddies.
Yeah.
And you notice that all of them, or not all of them, but a lot of them have very weird stuff in common. Like, they're all about me and
Crazy
this and
factor.
what I get and blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
If you lower it down a couple ticks, you might find somebody who's actually, able to have a conversation.
A quality
maybe
person.
have some more quality about it.
All right, so the whole idea, again, is I'm hotter than you, so you ought to try harder to please me. Just a little bit more on this.
Paul Pierce, who used to be on the Celtics, okay, this is what he said on his recent pod. Check this out.
All you men who stand up men, who go out there and put your elbow into making a woman make sure she's straight and hard-working and respectable, chest up, chin out men, and you really on the grind and you really got ambition, man, leave these little pretty girls alone, bro. They don't put their elbow in it. I'm going to keep it 100. Over there looking at, oh, she bad. Oh, look at her Instagram. Oh, she a 9. She a 10. I'll get you a 5 or a 6. We're going to put some elbow into it. They're going to be down for you.
Preach.
On some 100.
Gosh.
You know what I'm saying? They're going to look at you like, why he with her? Don't worry about why I'm with her. Because she going to do everything you ain't doing.
So it's not like Shrekking is a new thing. We've been choosing who we're going to go out with based on appearance for a long, long time. But then when dating apps came along and we did the little swipe left and right, it just got worse. All of a sudden, your profile picture became your pickup line. But now Shrekking has come along and it's taken it to a whole nother level. Because with Shrekking, you date someone you're not attracted to in the hope that, hey, you know, they'll treat you like a queen or king just as you deserve. Now, I have a hard time imagining either Bruce or Todd being able to date down.
People dated me down.
But, you know, I guess it could happen. But Kimberly, I understand that you're maybe an expert on this topic.
Oh, Kimberly.
Wow.
Wow.
That's just what I heard. That's all I heard.
Come on. Let's hear the story.
Not me. Okay. All right. I have one story. So I was in college and I was at a party and I met this guy there who was a working man. He wasn't in college. He asked me out for dinner to a nice restaurant, one of my favorites in this town. And so I grew up with women or older girls telling me, date someone below your standards so that they will treat you nicer. So I kind of had that in the back of my head. Anyway, so I said yes. And I don't want to admit this.
Come on. Spill it.
I was feeling so guilty because that's not my nature to use someone like that because I wasn't going to date him. So I didn't show up. I just totally ghosted this poor man.
Really?
No. Isn't that terrible? I feel so
Kimberly.
to this day, I
Oh,
feel
my
really guilty.
goodness.
Hey,
You
Kimberly,
should feel guilty.
I'll confess something real quick here. I went to a prom with a friend of my cousin who said they'll buy my dinner and give me a tank of gas, but they said she wasn't much of a looker. I went. I still had to pay for my dinner, and I had to pay for the gas. So I got Shreked in a reverse kind of way. I don't even know how to make sense out of all that.
Well, here's a little different twist on it. Maybe a positive spin about Shrekking. It might be a wiser option if you lower your expectation because you may not be the catch you think you are. You know? you may not be the major league player you think you are, and you might find more success in the path to marital bliss in the minor leagues and discover.
So is that kind of like what Connie did?
Love it.
So,
Well, maybe, you know. But here, if that's the case, I landed in the major leagues in spite of myself, okay?
Oh, you did fine. You did great. You did
I love
fantastic.
so how do you make these decisions? If it's not based on appearance, what are the qualities that we should look for as we choose a relationship or even just someone to spend time with?
The qualities?
Well,
You look
for
for
me,
qualities.
you
I
know,
don't think
when
you
you-
look at outside stuff. Yeah.
I'm not sure that I have an answer for that. You know? I was just thrilled girls dated me, okay? Looks, status, none of that mattered. I was just glad to be able to go out with girls.
Well, okay, let me suggest something then. I think at the end of the day, humility is about as attractive as qualities come. I think people say humor is a big deal. If he can make me laugh, I really would like to spend time. But I think a humble spirit, someone who can own his own flaws, own his looks, humble enough to say, dude, I may not be the best catch out there, but I'm here, I'm available, and I think that's a powerful thing.
Chest out, chin out, but not too high up, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm trying to put it all together here. Trying to put it in here.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
All right. I think we milked everything out of that we could, and maybe too much. Who knows? So let's talk about Cracker Barrel. We may be the only show in America that hasn't addressed this topic. Now, in the spirit of full disclosure, I had my very first Cracker Barrel meal back in the late 1970s. And baby, I loved it. Get over it, you haters. I love Cracker Barrel.
Oh, fantastic.
However, they haven't gotten a lot of my business lately, and I can't explain why. I love the food, especially Uncle Herschel's breakfast, my very favorite. I would have that 24/7. And the old-fashioned old candy, I always load it up, especially with those Neapolitan coconut slices. You guys?
Soda pop in the bottles.
Is that right? Okay.
Oh, yeah. I love that. Yeah.
Oh.
Uncle Herschel's for me, too.
But I still don't
calories of
go.
bliss.
I still don't go as much as I once did, and evidently I'm not alone, and that's why the new CEO of Cracker Barrel, young, brash, eager to put her stamp on that company, decided to shake things up. And the easiest thing for any new leader to shake, do a rebrand, right?
Yeah.
And so
Repaint
what
the
followed was a perfect storm of avoidable mishaps, social media outrage, and news coverage the likes of which we haven't seen since Joe Biden tripped up the steps of Air Force One. Not once, but twice. All right. More of this when we come right back. I'll take extra butter with those biscuits. Hey, welcome back to the Wyatt Matters show. And we are the last show in America to talk about Cracker Barrel. But Bruce, with their sales declining and with that 50-year-old logo definitely sagging a little bit, why do you think the rebrand went so horribly wrong?
Well, I ate the very first Cracker Barrel in Crossville, Tennessee, years ago. It went wrong because Cracker Barrel is one of the last bastions of comfort food in America for most people, especially Southerners. And those who frequent it, like I have over the years, like it just the way it was, the way it is. I ate there last Thursday in Las Vegas. We have two Cracker Barrels. The sign out front was the original sign. The decor on the interior was the original interior. The menu was a little different. Uncle Herschel was back on the menu. It has been off for a long time, but it was good. And I looked around, and the longer me and my friends ate there, the place was packed. I mean, we were in the very back because that's where they put us when we get together. And I could see the whole expanse of the restaurant, and it was packed that morning. That friend, one of those friends said, Cracker Barrel couldn't buy this kind of advertising.
There you go. There you go.
Don't mess with it. If you ask a regular
I'm down in
customer.
Jacksonville, and we got the new logos, and we got the new restaurant, and actually,
Well, it is Florida.
Well, we are progressive down here. We are not. We're the opposite. But the core was less of it, which I liked. It felt a little lighter. I didn't feel like all this dust was hanging over top of me. Menu was the same, still great. And I did notice the logo. I did notice it. It been passing back for multiple times a day, and I didn't see that Uncle Herschel took a break. So I didn't see, which made me laugh when I saw the backlash. I guess that's what really got me to this story in the first place was.
Well, there are two sides to this, Todd. I mean, there is the arrogance, I think, initially of the CEO, claiming that things were great, everybody was thrilled with it. But then on the other side, social media jumping in and saying, oh, they're going woke, which I still can't figure out how a rebrand was going woke.
I just think people try to find words to use in there. And I just think it was one of those, you mess with my Bud Light, and you mess with my Coke. It was one of those kind of things. They tried to spice something up, and people showed how important those brands were to them, but they don't always have the right language to do their protest on it. But it is funny to me. People complained, and I go, "Well, have you been there lately?" And they hadn't been there before. So, like, I think you just want to complain.
Yeah.
Well, as a regular customer, I was disappointed. I probably would have gone back, tasted it one time, but still, it is comfort, and for a lot of us, and to change it just didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And the new logo was so boring looking. There's no
The
character.
new one,
to it.
yeah.
Well, it's
Yeah,
up
somebody
on
did that on Photoshop.
It's on the billboard with a bunch of their food, so it's kind of lost. And I'm thinking maybe Herschel was replaced by a stack of pancakes or something, because it's the way it's just laid out. I didn't notice it.
Oh.
I guess I'm trying to figure out how many logos are 50 years old without any change. And I think of Coca-Cola. They haven't changed that forever, but I can't think of very many others. And so I think it is that conservative, the Southern mentality. But I think even that in the media was overplayed in a way that it was some real cultural issues there, I thought.
Yeah, I think people are very sentimental, and we're in a stage where there's change happening around us everywhere, and so they want something familiar. And which is kind of funny to me that you're gonna attach yourself to a brand.
Yeah,
but we do that.
So I don't want to go too deep in this, but I have to unpack this because I think a very big reason why this thing got out of control was the response of the CEO. Honestly, they spent $700 million on the rebrand. And so when you're the head of the organization, you want to think you're getting your money's worth for that. You also get deep enough into it that you're kind of owning it. And so you can take offense if other people don't like it. But here's how this came down. On August 21st, they announced the brand refresh. And they were met with immediate backlash, and so they responded defensively in a condescending way. The very next day, they doubled down on that after getting all kind of backlash. Instead of expressing empathy for their customers, they just tried to justify why they did what they did. It was just a total out-of-touch response. Then, after a very long weekend of the outrage just spinning and growing, just like a hurricane gathering speed, they issued another statement that said, oh, well, we could have done better, but they still defended the rebrand. And then finally, the very next day, they come back with a real apology. Why didn't they start with that, Kimberly? What is the deal with this partial apology thing?
So, yeah, whenever you see a partial apology, your antenna goes up like there's something wrong here. So when somebody offers a partial, there's something underneath it, right? So if we're talking about a person in general, there can be shame. It's when you feel that you're a bad person, and with shame, you try to avoid that by covering it up and deflecting and saying, no, everything's okay here. You're the problem. Or a person doesn't really mean it, right? So, which could mean anything from selfishness to narcissism. So regardless, there's a lack of humility and a lack of self-awareness, is what you're hitting on, Steve, with not being in touch with reality. So
yeah.
I'm glad that PR stepped in and sent that letter. It was a great letter, by the way.
It was, and it was a great apology.
Yeah.
Bruce, do you have any thoughts about this partial apology thing?
Well, not so much. Because I just think, you're right. You just need to come out. We get ourselves in deeper, and Cracker Barrel showed that by not coming to the forefront from the very beginning and saying, hey, we screwed up. We're doing it in the first place, but they didn't, they kept trying to, hey, this is the right thing. This is the right thing. The arrogance and pride in the decision was part of the issue. And they finally decided, look, we're going to we're gonna shoot the messenger, shoot
There you
whatever.
go.
But
All right,
Yeah.
we got to move on. We will be back in just a few minutes. So I just got done binging the new Netflix series called America's Team. It's the story of Jerry Jones, owner of the Dallas Cowboys, from the time he bought the team in 1989 for $140 million with profits that he had earned from this massive oil gusher. You talk about gambling big and winning even bigger. Jerry took all that cash and put it all on the line and turned the worst team in the NFL into a 3-time Super Bowl champ and the most valuable sports franchise on the planet, worth about $10 billion. However, as a lifelong Cowboys fan, it still stings that Jerry's first move was to fire the beloved Tom Landry. Coach Landry was a towering figure in Dallas, even without his trademark fedora. He had a brilliant football mind, and even more impressive to this little kid, Landry was a profoundly humble man of faith. And so as I watched this show, I kept thinking about my hero, and one of my favorite quotes from Landry in particular. He was talking about how a coach interacts with his players, but even more about how any leader works with those under his authority. Here's what Landry said. I have a job to do that's not very complicated, but it is often difficult. To get a group of men to do what they don't want to do so they can achieve the one thing they've wanted all their lives. In Landry's work, the thing ball players don't want to do is win sprints and leg lifts and suicide drills. They don't want to do blocking drills and strength training and two-a-days. But the one thing they do want, that ring, a Super Bowl ring. And it's the coach's task to see that his players do the things they don't want to do so they can get the one big thing they've always wanted. In my career as a pastor, I faced that same paradox because the thing most believers don't want to do is anything even resembling humility. You think about it. Nobody wants to submit to somebody else, especially if they don't deem them worthy of that. Nobody wants to consider the other guy as better than me or somebody else's interests even above my own interests. Doing that stuff, it's like wind sprints, and nobody likes doing wind sprints. Think about it like this. If life is like a ladder, is your ladder for climbing up or sliding down? I don't know about you, but my ladder is marked up only because I'm all about climbing up and I never, ever want to be sliding down. I'm reaching for the next rung, not the last one. I'm pulling and straining to go where? Higher, farther, bigger. I want to get better than I am right now. I want to do more than I've already done. I want to achieve and aspire to greater heights than I've ever known. And I know you feel the same way. We all do. Because by nature, we are all about heading up. And yet, did you know that descending is the path that Jesus took? He knew that if the job that needed done was ever going to get done, he was going to have to take the downward path. And so that's what he did. The Apostle Paul says, your attitude should be the same of that of Christ Jesus, who being in very nature did not consider equality with God something to be grasped, but he made himself nothing. And since our attitudes are to be the same as his, our path must also be the same. In fact, true spiritual greatness can only be found on a downward path. I know it's counterintuitive, but it's true. The elevator to up in the spiritual realm must always travel down. In fact, it's the only arrow on the wall that little arrow pointing down. The universal law of the Christian faith is this: if you want your life to increase, you must decrease. And it's not just a good idea. It's not just a suggestion. It's not what the great spiritual thinkers would recommend. Jesus said, if anyone wants to come after me, he must deny himself, take up his cross, and follow. In other words, the ladder only goes one way, and that way is down. I realize down is a pretty illogical way to take if you want to make an impact, but that's what Jesus did, and no one has had a greater impact than him. And it happened because he considered others as better than himself. More on this when we come back from the break. So we've been talking about the fact that taking the downward path is following in the footsteps of Jesus. It may be counterintuitive in the material world, but because Jesus made that calculation, the world was turned upside down. And because he was willing to do what others were unwilling to do, your life and mine have been eternally changed. Now, what did he do? Well, according to Paul in Philippians chapter 2, Jesus took 5 very distinct and downward steps into his greatness. And because he did, the Father lifted him all the way to the highest place that there is. What were those 5 steps? Well, step number 1, though Jesus was equal with God, he made himself nothing. That literally reads, he emptied himself. Jesus grabbed the jar marked equal with God, unscrewed the lid, poured out all of its contents until not even one drop remained. Being equal with God didn't make Jesus want to fill himself up even more. It led him instead to empty himself out completely. Step number 2, he took on the nature of a servant. And that word nature means this wasn't an act. It was the real deal. He had been equal with God, but now a servant. Step 3, he was made in human likeness. In other words, Jesus took on skin. When people saw him, they saw a man. If they cut him, he bled. If they struck him, he bruised. Jesus reduced himself to all the limitations that you and I also have to deal with. Step number 4, he humbled himself and became obedient even to death. And not just any death. Step 5, Jesus endured the most humiliating death ever devised, even death on a cross. Now, understand, he did that. It wasn't done to him. Jesus wasn't a victim. He was a volunteer. He wasn't pushed, threatened, coerced, or manhandled. And his descent wasn't the result of some cosmic accident. Jesus purposefully and intentionally descended that ladder. Why is that? Because it has always been God's plan that those who want to be great must first bow low. And Jesus did that. I don't know if you've noticed, but people aren't exactly lining up to follow Jesus on that ladder. Even though the payoff, it is out of this world, literally. But to get that ticket, you got to do things that most of us don't want to do. I made a list of just some of the things that we've got to do that we don't want to do. We have to give, according to Jesus, if we want to receive. And we have to empty ourselves if we want to be made full. We have to humble ourselves to be exalted. We have to admit that we're wrong if we want to be made right. We have to acknowledge that we are weak if we want to find strength. And we got to go last if we ever hope to go first. And I could go on. In fact, I think I will. Because Jesus also said, if you want to come after me, you must deny yourself. And then he drops the big kahuna. And you got to lose your life if you want to find it. And you must die if you truly want to live. Man, talk about countercultural. If you want to follow me, Jesus says, prepare to die. To join my team, you can no longer be what you've always wanted to be, what you thought you needed to be. You must renounce you as the big reason why you exist. In fact, from this day on, you must live as though you're not even in the picture, let alone the center of your own universe. And that is the word of life that Paul says we must hold fast to. And remember, hold fast means we hold that line that keeps us safe, and we never, ever let our grip slip. We hold it. We hold tight to it. We hold fast, in this case, to the word of life, because the life that you desperately need is that it's not about you. Here's the sad reality. Even though this path leads to the greatest life of all, there really isn't a lot of traffic. And it's because the message of down doesn't appeal to the self-centered mentality that so marks our day. Whether it's Cracker Barrel, the customer who wants what he or she wants, or the CEO who becomes so bought into a rebrand she can't embrace the emotions of her customers, or whether it's a good-looking Shrekker who thinks that a less attractive side piece will be so honored to be with me that he will be on his best behavior. Gag me with a spoon. Let's face it, not a lot of people are willing to take this move. I saw a cartoon where two men were seated in a beautiful corner office, surrounded with all the accoutrements of power and prestige. Behind this huge mahogany desk was the CEO, and on the other side was a scruffy material handler in greasy overalls, calloused hands, the whole bit. In the caption, the man in the overalls said to the man behind the desk, "If it's any comfort to you, it's lonely at the bottom, too." And it is. It really is. So then why is down God's choice for us? Well, the Bible says that God actually opposes the proud. He sets himself against, he frustrates and defeats anyone who stubbornly clings to the mindset that their preferred way is the only right way. So you can screech and you can holler, you can spin and you can churn, but God will always have the last word. Is that a fairly accurate description of your life these days? Because you want things to happen your way, but God keeps leading you in a different way. And so you're wrestling and struggling and resisting him, thinking that maybe if you can land just one decent blow with that free hand of yours, then maybe, just maybe, it's not going to happen. And it's not because God prefers wimpy loser kind of people. It's because when God made this world of ours, he decided that his world would work like this. I'm going to busy myself opposing proud people, even if it means letting them spin and clench and jump and punch till they're completely out of gas and lying on the field of battle exhausted. I'm just going to wait until you get over your bad self and humbly open your hand and your heart to me, because I know what's best for you. Now, you may not like God's plan, but here's the deal, my friend. When you get around to making your own world, you can set it up however you please. But this is God's world. And when he drew his design, he set it up so that the way to up always starts with down. That's why the Bible says, humble yourselves under God's mighty hand. Just do it. Whatever God asks, just do it. Just place yourself beneath his authority. Just say to him, you are God and I am not. So, yes, Lord, I stand here, hands open, palms up. Before you even tell me what it is you want me to do, the answer is yes. And here is God's promise if you do that. To those who are willing to humble themselves, he will lift you up. Doesn't say he's going to think about it. Doesn't say he'll take it under advisement. He will lift you up. He will. He will. With our itty-bitty, teeny-tiny, eensy-weensy little pea-sized brains, we can't begin to comprehend how climbing down could ever get me to up. We don't get it. Even though God put inside all of us a yearning and a desire, something in our hearts that makes us want to get it. I don't want to be humbled. I don't want to empty myself. I don't want to be downwardly mobile. I don't want to have to go last. And yet, the destination is the only place I've ever really wanted to be. So I encourage you, please just do it. Do what you know you should do. What you know in your heart is the right thing to do. Humble yourselves under God's mighty hand, and he will. God will lift you up.
Here's the thing. We were in Disneyland years ago on their 40th anniversary, collecting their collectible cards. We're walking Main Street. It's pretty well deserted. Disneyland's about to close, and run into Michael Eisner. Now, Michael Eisner was the CEO of all things Disney at that particular time. And Connie said, get out your card, have him sign one of your cards. I said, okay. So I walked up, said, would you sign my card today? And this little boy is standing there, maybe 8 or 9 years old, and he keeps looking up because Eisner's tall. He just keeps looking up. And he said, mister, are you a ball player? Are you somebody famous? And Michael Eisner looked back at the kid and said, no, kid, I just worked here.
Oh, wow.
Love it.
Let me tell you, the people with the brooms and the dustpans and the white suits work there. The people with lederhosen just work there. This was Michael Eisner, CEO of one of the most successful entertainment industries and businesses in the world, $1 billion entertainment colossus, a world-class player, the real game of Monopoly. And his own words, I just work here.
I love it.
That's Paul's prescription, I think, because sometimes don't you just get the urge to want to explain to people just exactly who you are?
Oh, yeah.
Or how hard you've worked, or where you're from, or where your family's from, or what your background is, or what your position is, and how much you make, what you own, the car you drive, or where you live. Because here's the whole thing. Humility is a practice, and we need to be practicing, because one day in that same text, everyone in this world is going to be brought to their knees in humility and confess Jesus Christ as King of Kings and Lord of Lords. So God raised him to the highest place, made his name greater than any other name, so that every knee will bow to the name of Jesus.
Awesome.
And everyone will confess that Jesus Christ is Lord and bring glory to God the Father.
Great.
Well,
great
that's
stuff,
super
man.
encouraging. And humility is so tough. It is tough, and realizing that there are agendas and people more important than my own ego. But the beautiful thing is, the thing that stuck out to me, Steve, is you said you humble yourself in the sight of the Lord and he'll lift you up. And the thing is, it's like there's still a champion out there for you. It's just saying, let God be your champion. Let him do the things that you're trying to do on your own. It's always going to leave you feeling insecure and never quite making it, because God sees the potential what you really could be.
Yeah. Yep. I have often talked about my life as the first 43 years of my life, it was up and to the right. Everything was up and to the right. Just amazing success. And since that time, it has been up and then knocked down, and up and get knocked down. And yet I have felt more in the center of God's will during that process than during those times of just undiminished outward success. And it's just been so good for my humility.
I'm sure that when we get away from our egos are the time when we begin to feel like the person that God really wants us to be.
Yeah. Do you have anything, Kimberly?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I love that you brought in the 5 steps, not 5 steps, but the 5 things that Jesus did as a role model for all of us. Empty self, take on the nature of a servant. We are human, but humble ourselves, surrender. Just that reminder that we all need to be doing that. So I just love that.
That's great. That's great. Thank you, guys. Great show. We'll see you next time.